earbuds the kid cut off to make your AirPods. I just figured something out, JT. I've been giving this thought, and I'm not 100% certain. I'm 51% sure that I bought those earbuds.
That you what?
That I bought those earbuds that he cut. Like, you know how, I bought some at the Family Dollar, and I'm not sure if those were one of them. You know what I mean? Like, I bought, 10 pairs maybe at the beginning of the year, and I do believe that's one of them.
Well, I mean, listen, he knows how they make them. Gotta give him credit.
I was going to call up Tim Cook and say, I have someone undercutting you on the product here.
Yep.
All right.
I'll send you the picture. He just took the earpod and just cut it off, thinking it was earpods. I will send a pic.
All right.
It's pretty good.
Welcome to the Fantasy Trail. This is week 8. Episode 8, another week in the books. I'm along with JT and Mike.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
We decided to move it up because we figured we wouldn't have that many people listening next week through the Halloween. So we got a quick little episode. Thoughts, guys, moving in. I mean, really, so this is week 9. 4 weeks left until the playoffs start.
Yeah, well, just a quick rundown. I was looking at it because it's actually time to start thinking playoffs. Obviously, the top 4 seeds are set. So the playoffs currently would be Brian and Angela getting a bye, Joel and Colin getting the 3 and 4 seeds, and then Michael and Casey taking the final 2 playoff spots.
And the Casey one, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, and for the second year in a row, that spot is being stolen from me. So I really love this new rule. It's been just a blast. But really, he is very close. Jake is only 3 points behind him. Rachel's only 12 points behind him. Tamala, you're only 24 points behind him. And I am 32 points behind him. All of which could be made up in 1 week if I.
Yeah. It could certainly be made up in 4.
Now, who's currently last?
Currently last is Rich, and tied for that is Mike, but Mike has a 9-point lead over him.
Okay. Now, how we were doing a consolation bracket, I believe. Wasn't that one of the rules that was voted on?
It is, but just to be clear, even though they're in last, Rich, who is in dead last, is only 40, 50, 65 points out. So
not far.
He's not super far out. So I understand your inclination to want to talk consolation as I'm talking regular playoff bracket, but there's a lot of room for shuffling here.
Well, I'm just wondering, is the last place winner determined based off the consolation bracket or off of regular season?
You're talking about pizza and trophy, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Here's what we determined. All non-playoff teams pay $5 to enter this consolation bracket. Those teams compete for slots 7 through 12 that are not in the playoffs. And the winner of that gets that money, and the loser of that has to engrave the trophy. So the pizza.
Then the lowest 2 regular season ones do pizza, correct?
Correct. So the pizza nothing to do with the consolation bracket.
Okay.
So actually, so I guess you have to pay that money, otherwise you're automatically in last.
Yeah, I mean, you either pay the money or you pay to engrave the trophy. That's the way it was looked at.
Okay.
I kind of dig that. I kind of dig. So you're saying someone doesn't want to pony up the bunch or ponying it up either way, so you may as well put your money.
You're on board for betting money on something? I'm shocked.
Tamala, you're worse than me. I don't know where that ever came into your mind that I'm more of a degenerate gambler. You're the worst one.
Tamala, you're putting up $5 for a chance to win 25 more.
Oh, I mean, look.
Yeah, it's called gambling. With 5 teams all vying for one spot. Yeah, I got you, man.
Yeah, okay, I'm just saying, it's not like you're putting in 5 for nothing.
I bet on horses. I bet on football. I bet on a lot of things. And I know how this works, dude.
I mean, I'm not really talking about the guy hosting a weekly fantasy football podcast. I'm talking about maybe some of the other members in the league who may have lost interest earlier in the season.
Well, that's the point behind the site. That was one of the spirit behind it.
Exactly. It keeps everybody into the end. It also makes, I think, the playoffs fascinating because it keeps people that might not normally be touching the waiver wire very fast. In a time where it becomes
it's completely fascinating because you could be completely like last place, but then you're in the consolation bracket and still not end up last.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's definitely going to have an effect on this. But, waiver picks, the drop ads as far as, people who change their kicker and defense all the time. I think that's going to get a lot more tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and as we just saw, you can have the last place team, which was Rich, end up putting up a pretty good score. I mean, 65 points is not insurmountable.
Listen, a week's high score, we've had that type of differential almost above another player. Why couldn't you jump up a little bit? I mean, it's right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So nobody's out of it. And I think that was kind of the whole goal of what we've been trying to do in the first place here. So why don't we jump into the week?
Well, I just want, we had talked about, waiver activity and how waivers were kind of, they hadn't been as active, but I noticed this morning, and I actually had forgotten about waivers until about 10 o'clock. Usually that's the first thing I do when I wake up. I check and start making some moves. Mm-hmm. But we actually had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waiver claims awarded this morning.
And that doesn't necessarily show people who missed them, like myself. So I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah, a lot of
defenses. Keep in mind, Smala, that a lot of people may have your theory too of waiting, because if I'm looking at moves, the amount of moves is pretty much in line with last year, and in fact, we have a little bit better of a balance than we did. So,
but what I'm saying is, we've been averaging maybe 3 waiver claims.
Yes, I think it's being smarter about the actual waiver claims as opposed to not making as much transactions. Period.
Yeah.
Well, how do we look in transactions total? I'm sorry, Jay. I don't mean to.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It's about where we were last year. I mean, I don't have the numbers exactly, but I know last year we were saying it was a standout when there was some zeros. And this year we don't have any zeros. We have everybody in a pretty similar bunch with Michael Thomas well ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
And then Rachel, Brian, and Joelle a little below everybody.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what kind of scares me? You got Rachel with the number 1 waiver order, but there you in second is Brian, and then Joelle, and then Colin. So a lot of playoff teams. 3 of the playoff teams in the top 4.
Yep. Yeah, they're biding their time. They're being smart about it. So
that's smart.
All right, man. Where are we going?
All right, let's. I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. I got beat by Brian. And I mean, I got taken to the woodshed.
Come on, you would have beat every other team other than him and 2 others.
Yeah, but I got bailed out by Aaron Jones Monday night.
You call that a bailout, even though he's been so successful this year for you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Anytime you get 41
he's points, the number 3 running back in the league.
And look. I have no receivers. Bell did nothing, and Chase Edmonds let me down, so I dropped.
Part of me felt pretty damn good about Chase Edmonds letting you down.
I have a question for you, Matt. Do you think that one of the main reasons your team is just struggling so much just really is boiling down to that first Bell pick that we took?
No. He's had these last 2 weeks have not been bad. But the reason my record's as bad as it is terrible quarterback play in the first half of the year. And then I don't have a number 1 or 2 receiver.
I don't know, man. He's a 19th ranked back. You can't get that at the number 1 pick.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, you drafted him 7th, and he's coming in at 19.
You're obviously not limited to just those problems, but
running back's not my problem.
But he's saying because he has Jones that's not. He's looking at it as a position.
I gotcha. But you're hoping for a number 1 pick and a surprise like Jones. That's where you've always benefited, Tamale. You've been great about finding those late round steals and then still drafting well.
But with Bell there, it's kind of what I expected. I expected to have some big games. I expected to have some not so great games.
Kelsey's let you down.
I think that entire team has been a disappointment, though. I thought that they were good. New coach. I just thought with Bell, an extra weapon. I just thought that something better would be happening with them.
But now, look at Bell. He's got Miami this week, then the Giants, then Washington, then Oakland, and then Cincinnati, and then Miami again.
Matters he's going against. I don't know. How about on the flip side? Let's look at Brian. Brian's team is just dominating.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about Cooper Kupp, and let's think about this. Number 2 receiver, drafted 41 overall. It's the opposite effect.
It's number 2 running back too, that was drafted 17th.
That's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But honestly, I think the thing but I think a lot of it goes back to Lamar Jackson, who I know he didn't play last week.
Oh, yeah. Well, on a bye. And Patriots D.
Yeah, Patriots D is really what's putting him into a whole nother level.
I looked at it last night, and I know that the scoring isn't exactly the same between leagues, but I was looking at another league. I was writing up a report for those guys, and the Patriots D had 80 more points than any other defense in the league.
I can believe that.
And
I heard an interesting statistic outside of fantasy, Jay, about the Patriots. You'll find this really interesting. Never before has a team averaged, and you only know the season's halfway over, but has averaged a 30 of what they're scoring versus a 10 points giving up. There's never been a 30-10 ever.
Well,
and they're on track to do it.
Right now, the Patriots defense has a chance to outscore Brady. They're only 9 points back, and they are more than double every other defense other than the one they're beating by 80.
They have scored as many touchdowns as they've allowed.
It's one of the more unfair position things we've ever seen. And Brian has a great team top to bottom. Let's not undersell his team. But it's just an incredible advantage every single week.
And I mean, he added them from free agency. It was an ad.
Well, no one thought they were going to be that.
Yes. Yes, I'm looking at it right now. On September 11th, on Wednesday, he added them. It wasn't even a waiver pick.
Oh, yeah, Michael Thomas drafted them. Ooh.
That's what I mean. That is kind of looking at defenses where we were having the discussion of whether they're fair or not. Because I did text JT, and when we get to my game, I will talk about it a little bit. Because there was something that I pointed out that I did find just a little bit odd.
But see, remember, the Bears D, who was the number one defense by far last year, they were kicking around waivers the first couple of weeks of the season, too.
Well, so they probably still deserve to be there.
Then why? This is one of my deals about getting rid of them then. So if you're saying, like, it's this willy-nilly, that one person can just add a team, they do well, and then you keep them, and they're this, like, winning horse for you. I don't know. I don't know if that means you're drafting well. I mean, like, this means a little bit of a spin on the roulette wheel.
Yeah, listen, Angela dropped the 49ers defense a couple weeks ago, and Tamala scooped them up and has been riding them ever since. They're the number 2. The fact that people are willing to drop these ones, both the top defense have been dropped, is kind of odd.
Well,
That would never happen at any other position.
Because I think people who are doing this, though, are accepting the idea that there's a degree of randomness with many of the defenses. And certainly not the Patriots. They've been consistent. But with every other defense, I think it's completely random. I think if you look at the top 5 last year, compare them to this year, they could very well be at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, all right, looking at Brian's team, though, he didn't have his quarterback really. He didn't have his tight end. And now he's got David Montgomery who could potentially be coming on, too. That's a scary team, man. I think he's going to beat, which is not saying anything crazy, but all right, that's Mala.
All right, moving on. With two other teams that would have beat me both, Michael Thomas and Jake. With Michael losing to Jake, 145 to 162.
I believe that's Michael's 4th straight loss. I think Michael's started 4-0 and has lost 4 since.
Yeah, now he's got a lot of
cursed. A new curse going to the dog bowl.
I mean, his tight end really let him down. I think Michael was really betting on Herndon to come back and really give his team a boost, and he just hasn't been there.
Well, and he lost Mahomes. We can't undersell that.
Can't undersell that. I mean, this past week, Eckler didn't perform for him. We wonder where Gordon's going to be.
Mahomes, give him an extra 10 points. Give Mahomes a 31. He still loses.
Sure, you give him that, and then I think you're probably giving him Shepard or Sanders instead of Ty Johnson. I think he took the flyer on Ty Johnson as a starting back for Detroit, and that obviously was not the case. But he's still got a good team. 145 is a good score. He's just got to be really disappointed because he's sitting there. He's in the playoffs right now, and it's not like he's that close to being out. I think he will probably make it because his points are so good. But he just can't be happy losing week after week after week.
No, he can't be.
I agree.
He's going to make it. He's just not going to – I don't think he has a chance at a bye.
Yeah. You never know. We were looking at him like an absolute juggernaut, and then he's running into some bad luck. Fournette's looked amazing. And Eckler keeps on doing it. I mean, he's got to be a little bit nervous with his flex positions. And hopefully he gets healthy. Now, looking at Jake's team, not a tremendous week. He had, Michael Thomas did Michael Thomas things against Michael Thomas.
Well, Latavius Murray has just been that's
absolutely, and that's going to be. I mean, and that's a handcuff that Jake doesn't have on his team.
Right, but he the two wins in a row are coming off of Murray having 2 huge games.
Yeah, and it's dealing with the Beckler disappointment. It's been a disappointment all year.
We're getting closer to the point where maybe Jake might have Kareem Hunt coming, and that would be an interesting.
I'd say AJ Green is a better chance for points than Hunt.
I'm still not convinced.
It's an interesting case. I mean, here's what I will say: that Cleveland certainly is going to need to run the ball if they want to be productive, because what they're doing now is just a dumpster fire.
What point did they have not running Chubb? They're not running him a ton as is, and he's been amazing.
Oh, I think that they should be like a primarily running team, but what do I know? That's when they win.
Jake's got to be happy with that, though. These couple scores these last few weeks have really brought him back into it. He's, like I said, only 3 points down from Casey. He's suddenly right in the playoff hunt after a couple weeks of looking like he was in some deep trouble.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Moving on. Let's go with the lowest scoring matchup of the week, and that is Rich against JT. And this is kind of interesting, and I don't know if it's completely rosters, and we've changed it. We added the other flex spot instead of running back, and that's changed it. But JT, you put up an 88.8, which lowest score of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Back a couple years ago, we consistently have scores under 100.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And now,
this is the PPR one, and 100 is seen as good.
That's the, one in the teens.
I think Mike's right. I think it's the PPR.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's without question that. You combine that with the explosion of offenses in football and kind of teams spreading the ball around a little more, and there's a lot more viable players.
And I do think with some of that spreading the ball, it does provide some inconsistencies in players. I think there's something a little bit more feast and famine. your Will Fuller example, for instance.
Yeah, well, there was a famine on all my entire squad and a feast from Mike Evans.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, you've got hurt, with injuries.
But just to clarify, Evans has been kind of on a week, off a week, on a week, off a week, feast and famine himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he's hurt. He'll probably be out for a couple.
And that's kind of my point, is that it's a real hit or miss now.
Well, I think that's a hit or miss offense too.
Yeah.
No, he was saying Evans tomorrow.
Evans specifically.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you look at it, it's like, I mean, he has like weeks where he gets zeros, and then he has weeks where he gets a 40, he gets a 20, and then back to a 0, back to a 4. Like, it just doesn't. And I think that's kind of what we see a lot more around the league right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hate to lose to the last place team. 132 is not a bad score. Rich caught a rough break with Cooks going out hurt after, like one hit early in the game. So he actually could have had a much better score. And he was missing Kamara out hurt. So that score I don't even think is indicative of what his team could have put up. But at the same time, I went into this week knowing I was cooked. The last 2 weeks, I've been ravaged by injuries. And everybody has this, so I'm not complaining. But I was missing my first-round pick, my third-round pick, and my fourth-round pick. And then my second-round pick was announced right before the game that he was going to play but be on a snap count. So I didn't play him. And he actually ended up doing better than a lot of the guys on my team, but that doesn't say much. So, I mean, I didn't play my first 4-round picks. And I don't know. You take that away from anybody, and they're not going to put up a score. So I kind of resigned myself to a loss here, though I do hate to have it come against a team when it should have been a win, you'd like to think.
So now, what do you think about your team going forward?
I think I'm in a lot of trouble unless these guys all come back this week. I am in some serious hot water about making the playoffs through points, and there's such a big bunch there in the middle that I think I need to get in with wins. So in these next couple weeks, I don't care how many points I get as much as can I just get a win. And I don't feel great about that with some of the guys that I have to play. David Johnson is questionable. I think Allen's going to play. Thielen's going to play. Ingram's going to play. But, I still don't – I don't know. I think I'm done. I think
Ingram's on bot. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Last week. David Johnson has a horrible matchup even if he plays. Kyler Murray has a horrible matchup if he plays. Rivers has not been a great backup. I just don't think I have the horses right now without getting everybody back. So I'm hoping to sneak a couple wins that balance out for some of these losses I have and maybe sneak in that way and get everybody healthy. But I would say my chances are pretty slim right now.
Okay.
There you are, my friend.
All right. Moving on. Next, we get Rachel getting a victory against Casey, 136 to 121. Tevin Coleman. If Rachel makes a move, he's going to be the reason why.
Unbelievable.
Do you know the 49ers are running the football? I think it's 52% of the time, by far the most in the NFL, and are undefeated doing so in this pass-happy league.
We looked at Rachel a few weeks ago and said her biggest weakness by far is running back. That she had this unproven Gordon situation. That Breda and Coleman would be time splitters. Jamal Williams was a backup. Singletary wasn't coming through. She had a lot of depth, but none of these guys looked like they were going to do anything. And now here we're sitting with Tevin Coleman being an unbelievable monster. Breda had a great game a couple weeks ago. Gordon's at least starting to put up a little better numbers. Singletary looks like he's turning it around. And it's like, holy moly, she's got a lot. Yeah. And that doesn't include that Devonta Adams hasn't been playing for her.
I mean, that's her. Again, she's in a similar situation to what you. I mean, not as bad as you, but I mean, she had a first-round draft pick out.
Yeah, and her top quarterback. Well, we can't undersell that.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I mean, San Francisco right now just has the hot hand, and I mean, like, she's going to be continuing on with Coleman for a while. He's an RB1.
Yeah, I can't think of many guys that have had better stretches or better weeks than that unexpected.
I with you running the ball, even if there is a timeshare, I mean, they're half of their snaps they're running. Think about it. There's No team is even coming close to that.
I think the playoffs this year are going to be influenced so much by the defense of some of these teams that are going to, you're looking at the Bills, you're looking at the Patriots, you're looking at the 49ers.
I don't know if they're going to have a good day with their past week, but anyway.
Casey, it's gonna be strange. It would just be unbelievable because now we're starting to see some of these split back situations, and we are starting to see that some of these guys you consider to be a backup maybe starting to come in. Look she's getting a lot of points from Adams. Tevin Coleman, who's supposedly splitting with Breida. I think he's an RB1.
I want to look at Casey real quick here. He's been talking for a while that he was going to sneak in through points, and he's currently in that position. But I think this week he actually lost some points to some of the squads because his score of 121 was on the lower half. And he actually got everyone back. Tyreek Hill's back. Breeze is back. All the guys that he was missing, other than Cooper going out on a bye, which is to be, expected, came back. And he actually ended up underperforming. So I think that has a disappointing week for Casey.
And the fact that he lost Connor for at least a couple weeks.
Is that what they're saying? I hadn't heard anything official on that.
I don't think they've announced anything official this early in the week, but I've heard a couple.
AC joint, so yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one for Casey. He's got to expect more points. He beat me and he beat Mike, but God, who didn't?
And then Breeze is out. He just got Breeze back, but Breeze is out. And he has Mason Rudolph facing the Colts.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I was just looking at the waiver wire because I was thinking I might need to make a move. It is slim pickings.
Pickens.
Got like Garoppolo going out there, but he's not doing much of anything, even though he's getting against a crummy D. And then the rest is like real rough.
Oh, yeah. It forced me to make a trade.
That's why you made your move. I get it. But I was kind of hoping Rivers would be in some better shape than he's been. So I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. Casey cannot afford many low point weeks with his record. He ain't getting in with a record.
Yeah.
All right. What do we?
Moving on.
By the way, just to clarify from what I've heard at the schoolhouse.
That what?
You think they'll be in?
Oh, of course he does.
Listen, just want to clarify that.
That peacock has a lot of feathers.
All right. Moving on. Scarano loses a school lunch to Angela, 111 to 134.
Angela's 5th win in a row.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. The minute the rest of my players start performing a little bit, Russell Wilson comes back down to earth, and the whole team goes down the toilet. I give up, guys. I'm just hoping maybe I can get out of pizza, but I'm not. Take it away, gentlemen.
Mike, I'd say your best hope at this point is to win the consolation bracket so you can pay for the pizza.
I like it. I like it. There wasn't much there. The only one I was debating was Davis over Williams, and I guess that could have given me a couple points, but it really wouldn't have mattered.
And you have 3 tight ends on your roster.
I'm just trying to find some guys to plug in here, man. There's nothing there.
4.
Yeah, well, one's on IR.
No, it doesn't matter. 4.
Doesn't matter. That's in.
I thought we used to have a limit of only 3.
Yeah, I don't think that's a concern. I say Mike can take as many as he needs.
I just don't have anyone to put in there. It doesn't seem to ever be working. And every single week that I do pick, I pick the wrong one.
But you know what? I think the one thing you have to think about the Andy Dalton benching Scarano, I think that helps you because I think they're gonna have to run it more.
I hope so. Well, I mean, here's what I'll say, man. Look, it just didn't work out. My 12-13 pick were Mixon, Smith-Schuster, and although they did pretty well this week, this is the first time that either of them did anything. Russell Wilson looks like he's coming back down to earth, even though he still gets the win. It's okay, man. Listen, I accept it. Yeah, now, talk Angie's team.
Look, McCaffrey and Hooper. Rodgers had a huge week.
I was talking with JT, and I wanted to see if I could get him because he's usually very good at stuff like this. And I said, promise me you don't look. And I sent him the text, and I said, who's the number 1 tight end? And he was shocked. It's Hooper.
Yeah, by far. My question is with Schaub coming in, the more tape they get on him, will they be able to defend him a little bit better?
Yeah.
I don't know how long Matt Ryan's supposed to be out for.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a backup. Like when I heard he was in, I was like, is he still in the league?
Yeah.
So we were discussing with Ange. I mean, what's putting her head and shoulders? It's McCaffrey and Hooper.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember how I got you on that. I said, who's the number 1 tight end? And it's by far Hooper.
Yeah, no, I know. And Rodgers has been Rodgers.
An MVP ready year.
Yeah, when everybody kind of written him off, myself included, especially after that first couple weeks of 13, 16, 14, it was like, oh, he's done. And it's like, oh, well, maybe not 100%. So, yeah, Andrew's consistently making these wins. It's just they're not great scores always. Sometimes they've been real high scores, but she's winning. It's win after win after win, 5 in a row.
Yeah. Now, she has Zach Ertz on her bench. He has not been great this year, but I wonder if you make her the right offer, if she would be willing to.
Yeah, number 7.
I mean, I'll tell you this: he'd be a great flex any given week, though, man.
Yeah, he's the number 7 tight end. I mean,
he's a good flex. I mean, any week though, do you have a couple buys on your flex position? I mean, he goes in, man.
I mean, she could use a solid number 2, number 1 receiver if someone was, and we have a team that are real weak at tight end.
Right here.
Yeah. If someone might actually play around him.
Right here.
Yeah. All right. Last matchup of the week tomorrow.
All right. And that is Colin taking down Joel. 162 to 126.
He said he would do it, and he did.
And that's with getting a 26 from Derek Carr. The rest of Joel's team, Chark showed up, but the rest of them did not.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say that I don't know. Erickson, all right.
Yeah.
Good. Tough bye week for having Barber be your RB1 is tough.
Yeah, you swap that out. She lost Kerryon Johnson and Zeke Elliott and Matt Ryan and Marquise Brown all for the week.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough. I mean, she would know one, I don't think, regardless. Colin put up a really good score. But I think she's going to be okay. The Kerryon thing hurts her, but Zeke will be back.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing all that much. Like, it's not a huge...
No, but it was that was her RB2.
Yeah.
And that's who would have gone in for Peyton.
Yep.
But you don't need an RB2. Like, his highest score of the week was 16.8.
Yeah, but that's better than 3.8.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like,
but that was his high. Like,
she has a cluster injury, is what it is.
Yeah, but she had a lot of guys she would have put in above that. He wasn't playing for her every week, but he would have played for her this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And Danny Amendola, he's had a good
couple weeks now. Good couple weeks. Listen, and then there's Colin, who's the only team I've ever seen in the history of our league to own 3 defenses simultaneously.
No, that's not true. Absolutely not true.
I
almost say Joel's done it at one point.
No, 3 defenses. Nope, I can't.
I want to say
Rachel's worse than my tight ends.
Yeah, because you can't play more than one. At least with tight ends, you technically could.
It is strange, but great week for him.
Yeah, man. Who am I to criticize a guy who puts up 163?
And Barkley looks like he's back in full force. So
he's back. Edelman, great. Godwin, a little down week, but has been great. Chubb, down week, but has been great. I mean, he had a couple down weeks, and he still put up a great score. Oof.
Yeah.
The Gallagher brothers, man. I don't want to face either one of them.
I think they both have solid teams.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the recap. We kind of talked. We don't no rankings again this week, guys.
We gotta get the rankings back, man.
Yeah, but really, if it's just us, I don't. I mean, I really liked.
It's just been me.
Yeah,
I like it, Jay.
It's just me going, "Oh, seem awful familiar."
all right. So since Halloween's coming up tomorrow, and we don't have our rankings, top 3 Halloween candies. Go.
Oh, jeez.
Snickers. Snickers clearly number 1.
Oh, stop it.
Really?
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Butterfinger.
Well, clearly this is going to really get
This
somewhere.
is not going to work, is it?
Yeah.
This is not going to work.
Really glad we thought about this
better anyway.
at the time, and it wasn't spur of the moment.
All right, guys. Well, good luck this week. Who you guys playing?
I play Joel. By the way, listen to this.
So Joel has another
starting quarterbacks this week. Go Pack.
Yeah, I've got Michael Thomas, so. Eesh.
Well, I don't know if he's made any. Well, no, never mind.
Yeah, I think I'm
rich.
I don't know. I feel so miserable about my squad. I was feeling so good 2 weeks ago at 4-2, and then the first quarter last Sunday, 3 of my guys went out hurt, and it was just like, oh crap. I don't know. If David Johnson comes back, I maybe have a chance.
Yeah, and I will say this much, Jay, on a positive note. I don't always believe their injury reports 100%. People are always like, well, he'll be back, but he won't be 100%. And then they tear it up. So I don't know. I've never quite ever thought that.
I think I'm making a switch at quarterback. I do not know what to do other than that.
Get a trade going with Matt.
Maybe I'll get a defense from Colin.
One way to do it. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good week.
Watch some baseball tonight.
Houston's up.